Okay, now I start the recording. Good evening, guys. So before in previous video, I told you that I am doing one lab that based on Tryhackme platform on free. So today I found one lab that's based on Tryhackme platform. So let's go without delay in Tryhackme platform. Okay. So just search on Tryhackme in Tryhackme. Just search bar. In, I'm showing you. Just right corner on the search bar, you can just, see the search bar. Just search SQLI. In the top one, just select that SQL injection. It's not hard and not easy. It's just medium. 0 30 minutes. 2,32,837 people currently in this room. 5,670 recommended. I also recommended this room. Nice room. Just join room. SQL injection. Before that, what is SQL? SQL is a structured query language. Is a programming language for storing and processing information in a relational database. A relational database stores information in tabular form with rows and columns representing the different data, attributes, and the various relationships between the data values. You can SQL statements to store, update, modify, remove, search, and retrieve information for the database. You can also SQL in to maintain the or and optimize database performance. In a structured query language, mostly preferred to as a SQLI. SQL we can prefer called as a SQLI. Why SQLI? Let's take the SQL. Why SQLI? SQL injection is a SQLI is a type of cyber attack where malicious SQL structured query language code is injected into a vulnerable application's input fields. This can manipulate that the application's database queries, potentially granting unauthorized access to the database queries, potentially granting authorized access to the database or allowing attackers to retrieve, modify, and delete data. Is an attack on the web application database server that causes malicious queries to be executed. When a web application communicates with a database using an input from a user that has not been properly validated, the runs the potential of an attacker being able to steal, delete, or alter private and the customer data is and also attack the web application authentication methods to private or customer areas. This why this is why SQLI is a one of the oldest web application vulnerabilities, and it can also be most damaging. In the room, we'll learn what database are, what is SQLI is, some basic SQL commands, and how detect SQL vulnerabilities, how to exploit SQLI vulnerabilities, and as a developer, how you can protect yourself against SQL injection. So, as you can see before the videos, SQLI is the most and risk is attack. Okay, when we in our application we are using this URL. If we modify this URL in in future, we can say in this room we can do this room. No worries. We can modify this URL so we can fetch the tables and SQLite. Let's say in the videos, let's do that. So the question is, answer the question below. The question is, what does SQLite stands for? SQL stands for Structured Query Language. Okay, let's solve this. It's loading. I think networking issue, just wait. Oh, it's correct answer. Okay. Now, what is database? If you are not used to working with database or exploiting them, there's a probably some new terminology to get used to. So let's start with some basics on how databases are structured and how they work. What is database? A database is a way to electrically storing and collections of data of an organized manner. A database is controlled by a DBMS, which is acronym for Database Management System. DBMS fall into two camps, relational and non-relational. The focus of this room will be on relational database. Some common ones you will come across are MySQL, Microsoft SQL Server Access, PostgreSQL, SQL, and SQLite. We'll explain the difference between relational and non-relational database at the end of the task. But first, it's important to learn a few terms. Within a database, you can have multiple databases, each containing its own set of related data. For example, I have a database called SOP. Within this database, you want to store information. This is a real life example, guys. So, information about products available to purchase, users who have signed up to your online shop, and information about the orders you have received. You would store this information separately in the database using something called tables. The tables are identified with a unique name for each one. You can see the structure in the diagram below, but you can also see how business might have other separate database to store staff information and accounts team. So this is the database server, and the shop staff and accounts to access the database server. Under the shop, we have a tables. Under the shop, we have a users tables. Under the shop, we have a products tables. Under the shop, we have a orders tables. Who ordered the products? That's all. In the staff, we have under the staff table, we have a user table means staff table. Under table, we have informations, users informations. Under table, users audit log. Now accounts. Under the account tables, we have a customers informations. Under table, we have orders. Under table, we have a payroll. Like this one. What are tables? A table is made up of columns and rows. A useful way to imagine tables is like a grid with the columns going across the top from left to right, containing the name of the sale, and the rows going from the top of bottom, with each one having actual data. Now columns. What is columns? Each column better referred to as a field as a unique name per table, like this one column, and this one row. Okay, you can see here row and columns. So you also set a type of data will contain common ones, they being integers, numbers, strings, standard text, and or dates. Some databases can contain much more complex data, such as geospatial, which contains location information, settings. The data type also ensures that incorrect information is not stored, such as string hello world. This is a string and under the inverted comma. So yeah, under the being stored a column meant for dates. If this happens, the database server will usually produce an error message. A column containing an integer can also have an auto increment feature enabled. That gives each row of data a unique number that grows increments with each subsequent now. Doing so creates what called a key field. We can call it as a key field. A key field has to be unique and every row of data, which can be used to find the extract row SQLI queries. Rows. What is rows? Rows are records containing individual lines of data. When you add data to the table, a new row and new record is created. When you deleted data, a row recorded is removed. Now we can see what is relational and non-relational. That is where it is here. This is the between difference between relational and non-relational. Let's check. A relational database stores information in tables, and often the tables share information between them. The use columns to specify the and define the data being stored, and rows actually to store the data. The tables will often contain a column that has a unique ID, primary key, which will then be used in other tables to reference it and cause of a relationship between the tables. Hence, the name of relational tables. And the non-relational tables, sometimes called no SQL. So we can say relational tables we can say SQL, and non-relational tables or database we can say no SQL. On the other hand, a no sort of database that does not use tables, columns, and rows to store the data. A specific database layout does not need to be constructed, so each row and data can contain defined information, giving more flexibility over a relational database. Some popular database of this type are MongoDB, Cassandra, and Elasticsearch. What is Elasticsearch? Elasticsearch is a distributed, scalable, and highly available search engine. It is used to store and index data so that it can be quickly searched by analysts. Now, you have learned what a database. Let's learn how we can actually talk using SQLI in this task. Before that, we can solve this task. What is the acronym for the software that controls a database? Data? No. Rows? Wait. Let's find this one. What is the acronym? Software controls database. Okay. DBMS. It's a DBMS. Database Management System. Okay. Now, what is the name of it? Like structure, which holds the data? Tables. Now let's do the next step. Go ahead. What is SQLI? SQL is I already told you is a feature-rich structured query language used to querying database. SQLI is better referred to as statements. To the simplification of the command which I will cover in the task is used to retrieve, select, update, insert, and delete data. Although sometimes somewhat similar. Some databases server have their own syntax and slight changes to how things work. All of these examples are based On a MySQL database, after learning the lessons, we will easily to able search an alternative syntax online from different servers. It's worth nothing that SQL syntax is not case sensitive. What is the means of select? How to do that in comment? So the first query type we will learn in the select query used to retrieve data. For example, this one, the select query. If we use select, then space star, then from users. So it can fetch this. Means the from target to select, then retrieve the users. The first word select tells the database we want to retrieve the some data. The star means this one tells the database we want to retrieve back all columns from the table. For example, the table may contain three columns: ID, username, password. From users tells the database we want to retrieve the data from the table name users. Finally, the semicolon at the end tells the database that is the end of the query. Means this one. Okay. The next query is similar to above, but this time instead of using star to return all columns, the database table we are just requesting the username and password fields. For example, this one. Select then username password from users. So the retrieve our usernames and passwords. The following query like the first returns all columns by using selector and then the limit one. I mean this one. Cause forces the database return only and the row of data, changing the query to limit one. Forces the query. Skip the first result and then limit to one. Skips the first two result and so on. You need to remember the first number tells the database how many result you wish to skip. And the second number tells how many rows to return. Means this one. Select star from users limit one. Means this one retrieve. Lastly, we are going to utilize the clause. This is how we can finally pick out the extract data we require by returning the data that matches specific clauses. Like select stars from users where username admin. This is we can start this. We can guess. Is the starter username is admin means A. This one yes, and this is a password. This will only return the rows where username is equal to admin. Now, if we select stars from users where username not equal to, this means not equal to. This means equal to, and this means not equal to admin. So can we retrieve the data? No, this is not equal to admin. Have John and Martin. This only return password rows where username is not equal to admin. Now we can use a select star from users name where username admin or username John. We can fetch username also admin also. Is the username any username have a admin or any username have a John? So if yes, so they can retrieve the data. Now this is only return the rows where the username is either equal admin or John. Now select star from users where username admin or password is password. If is right, so you can fetch the data. This only returns the rows where the username equal to admin, password is equal to password. Now using the like clause allows to specify that is not a exact match, but instead either starts, contains, or the ends with content characters by choosing where to places wildcard character represented by a percent sign. Is that clear, guys? Yeah, my audio is clear. Now, if I use select star from user where username like A means we can guess this is a letter have on user table rows your username rows. So if this written any rows with a username beginning with letter A, we can guess this one. We can do in practical notice. So if it is have, so we can do. Okay. Now select star from users where username like percent %n. If have, so we can use anyone, if we use in O, so we can retrieve only John. Okay. If I use only I, so we can use retrieve only admin and Martin. Now select this returns any rows with a username ending letter with N. Before we can remember the beginning start letter, we can use percentage after that. In the start letter, we can use percentage before that. Now union. What is union? The union statement combines the result two or more select statements retrieve data from either single or multiple tables. The rules of the query that the union statement must retrieve and the same number of columns in each select statements. The columns have to be a similar data type, and the column order has no to be same. This might sound not very clear. So let's use the following analogy. Say a company wants to create a list of addresses for all customers and suppliers to post a new catalog. We have one table called customers table, and this is one customer tables, and at another called suppliers with following context. This is a company address and the suppliers addresses. Using the follow SQL statement, we can gather the result from the tables and put them into one result set. Like select, we can select the name, address, and city postcode from customers. Union, As well as we can select company addresses, city, postcode from the suppliers. So they can fetch everyone in the single row. Insert. What is the insert button now? The insert statement tells the what database we wish to insert now new row of the data into a table into users, tells the database which table we wish to insert, and data into username password provides the columns. We are providing data and the data values Bob password. Suppose it's an example, but it's also example username password provides the data previously specified columns. So insert, like we want to insert into users like username or password, then values like Bob and password 3. So you can insert this one. Here you can see Bob and password 1 2 3. Now update. The update statement tells the database we wish to update one or more rows of data within a table. You specify the table you wish to update using update statement, then table name, then statement, percentage, then set. And select the fields or fields you wish to update as a comma separated list such as username, then comma, then root, then password, then again comma, then password 1 2 3, then close the quotation. Then finally, the similar to the select statement, you can specify exactly rows update this using where clause such as where username admin. Now we can update this one. Update user set username root and password root 1 2 3 where username admin. Now here we can see the username is root and password is pass 1 2 3. Now delete button. The delete statement tells the database we wish to delete one or more rows of data. Apart from missing columns, you wish to return. The format of this query is very similar to the select. You can specify precisely which data to delete it and using the where clause and the number of rows be deleted limit clause. Delete, like we can delete anything. Delete from user where is username Martin. So Martin will be deleted. Delete from users. Because nowhere clause was being used the query, all data deleted from the table. Now answer the question below. What SQL statement is to retrieve data? Select. Now, what SQL can be used to retrieve data from multiple tables? What is guys? Anyone? Now, which SQL statements is the users used to add data? What is guys? Insert. Now, what is SQL injection? Let's say, what is SQL injection? Like the point of where in application web application using SQL can turn into SQL injection is when user provide the data gets in the SQL query. What does look like? It look like. Take the following scenario where you have come across an online blog and each blog come entry a unique ID number. The blog entries may be either set or public or private, depending on either they have ready to public releases. The URL each blog entry may look something like this. Okay. From the URL above, you can see that the blog entry selected comes from the ID parameter, like this one. This one is parameter. So in the query string, the web application need to retrieve the article from the database may use an SQL statement that looks something like following. Like select, we can do select, then star, then from blog where ID is equals to 1 and private 0 limit 1. From what we have learned the previous task, you should be able to work that SQL statement above is looking in the blog table from an article with the ID number of 1 and the private column is set to 0, which means it's able to view the by public and limits by result only one match. As was mentioned at the start of the task, SQL injection introduced when user input and is introduced into the database queries. In this instance, the ID parameter where the query string is used directly SQL query. Let's pretend the article ID 2. If we use 2, then double a hyphen is still locked as private, so it cannot be viewed on our website. We could now instead call the URL, which would then in turn produce SQL statement. If I do select from start, then from blog where ID equal to 2, then after semicolon we do start the double hyphen and private equals to 0 limit 1. The semicolon in the URL signifies the end of the SQL statement and two dashes cause everything. Afterwards, to be treated are as comment. By doing this, you are just in fact running the query. Now select start from block where ID 2, comma hyphen hyphen, which will return to article and with ID 2, whether a set of public or not. This was just one example SQL injection vulnerabilities and the type they call blind SQL injection. There was three types of total in blind hours. So three types of SQL injection, that is in blind, then out of blind, which we'll discuss over the following task. Now, What character signifies the end of SQL query? Is that one simpler? Yes. Now, okay. Now, inline SQLI. What is inline SQL? Inline SQL injection is the easiest type of detect and exploit in the band, just refers to the same methods of a communications being used to exploit the vulnerabilities and also receive data results. For example, discovering an SQL injection vulnerabilities on our website page and then being able to extract data from the database on the same page. Now, what is error-based SQL injection? This type of SQL injection is the most useful for the easily obtaining information. It's easy to obtain information. We can fetch about the database structure and error message from the database and are printed directly to the database or screen. This can often be used or enumerate the whole database. What is union-based SQL injection? This type of injection utilizes the SQL union operator alongside a select statement or return additionally results on the page. This method is most common way of the extracting large amounts of the via and SQL injection vulnerabilities. Now practical, let's as you see, click the green start machine button, use the SQL injection example practice lab. Hello, I have a call, sorry guys. Okay, now each level contains mock browser SQL error query and error boxes. Getting your queries payload correct, you may need to refresh the web page once the machine starts if you get 502 bad error. Let's start a machine. The level 1 of the practical lab contains a mock browser website featuring the blog with the different articles which can be accessed changing the ID number. Only you can change only ID number, that you can get an answer, I think. So in the query string. Now the key discovering based SQL injection is to break the code SQL query by trying certain characters until the error message is produced. These are most commonly single apostrophes and question mark. Trying typing the apostrophes after the ID 1. Okay, we can and press enter. You will see the returns on SQL error informing of an error on your syntax. The fact that you have received the error message confirms existence the SQL injection vulnerability. Let's check that. We can now exploit this vulnerability and use the error message to learn more about the database structure. Let's wait a machine. Okay, 95%, 96, 7, 8, 9, 100. Okay, we got. Now, can try this one. We heard this one. Try typing apostrophe s. Okay, this is our URL. Let's type apostrophe s. Click enter. Check. SQL state 42000 syntax error or access violation 1064. You have an error of in your SQL syntax. Check the manual that corresponding to your MySQL server version of the right. Use near at the line. If I'm using double press. Okay. Now, firstly we will try to union. But the first thing we need to return data the browser without displaying an error message. Firstly, we will try to union operator. We can receive the before that. In this error, we already find this is a vulnerable error application in SQL. So, union operator, if we choose the if it try settings and mock browser identity parameter. This statement should produce an error messaging inform you that union select statement has a different number of columns. Okay. Then you the original select query. Please let's try the but add another column. If I use here union, then select one. Okay. The use select statements have a different number of columns. Let's try to two. It's also have. Let's try to three. Check. Guys, my first article ID. Hi. One. Hi and welcome to my very first article on my from my website. So we can select. At first we can fetch the one two tables. So we can go to error message, error message. Let's repeat by adding another column. When I get 30, 1, 2, 3 means this one. So we can fetch. Okay. Now what is the success? The error message has gone, the article has been displayed, but now we want to display our data instead of the article. The article displayed because it takes the first return result. Somewhere in the website code that shows that. To get around that, we need to first query the produce no results. This is can simplify be done changing the article ID from 1 to 0, like this one. 0 in one select 1, 2, 3. If I remove 0, okay. Now I removed 1, then type 0. We have two article ID 1, then 3 columns. You will now see article just made by a result from the union select, returning the column values 1, 2, and 3. Return values 1 to 3. Retrieve information first we will get the database name that we have access to. 0 union select 1, 2 database. Okay, let's take one also. Just right. If I select 1, then 2 means there is 2. That's why we are using 2. Then database. Let's check this one. Okay, we have some mistake. Now we have a two article ID and to get some database SQLI 1. Now we have SQLI 1. Just remind it. Okay, let's take a screenshot. Now you will see now where the number 3 was previously displayed. It was shows the name of database, which is SQLI 1 that we can fetch. Now our next query will gather the list tables that are in the database. Now we can use this one like 0 in one select 1, 2, then group concat. Okay, let's try this one. Group concat. Then table name like SQLI 1. We have fetch. Okay, we can use table name. Let's say table name. Then from information schema dot tables where table schema equals to now this one that you can fetch SQLI happen 1. Let's search. Column not found. 1054 table schema. Wait, I think something is wrong. Yeah, I know. Spelling mistake. Don't mistake the spellings like me. Now we can use. Check guys. There are a couple of new things to learn and the query firstly method group concat. What is group concat? I have a doubt also. So let's check gets the specified column in our case and table name from multiple return rows and puts it into one string separated by the columns. The next things is information schema database. Every user of the database has access to this and it contains information about all the databases and tables that users so has access to in particular query tables and the user has access to in the particular query We are interested in listening all the tables in the SQLI1 database, which is article stop users. As the first level aims discover margins for password, then stop users tables is what interests us. We can utilize the information schema database again to find the structure of this table using the below query. Okay, we found in the level 1 this one also. Now we can use this one group concat a table name, new table name, then press column name, then from information schema, then here where columns, here you can use columns COLUMNS, where table schema is stuff users, because we can see this one, we can see already stuff user, so just copy it. Before that, here just paste it. Let's see. Now this is two article ID, this one and null, we can see null button. Okay, this is similar to previous SQL query. However, the information we want to retrieve is changed from the table name, the column name, the table where querying in the into in your column. So we are searching for any rows where the table name, column name was value of staff users. The query results provide the three columns: staff users table ID, password. Now, username, username. The now the query result provides the username, ID, password. Username, we can use the username, password columns for our following query to retrieve the user's information. Now we can use this one. Try to group concat username, password. This one. Okay. So just copy it. So we can use press enter. Now in here group concat we can use username, then this one, then password. So just wait guys, just wait. Let's take my screenshot for level 1. Then you can use password spreader from staff users. So we can use the we can show the password. Okay. So again we use the group concat method to return all the rows of one string and make easier to read. We have also added this one, is this parameter. Here you can say this one. So to split the username and the passwords of each other, instead of beginning separately by the comma, we have chosen the HTML beer like this at this tab, this beer tab. Result, if you know the HTML, you can use beer tag for paragraph in the paragraph. So result to be a separate line make for easier reading. Now you should now access the Martin's password, enter the move password to move next level. Okay, this is a password. Just copy it and paste it. Check password. Okay, now we found the this level. Just copy the this flag, paste it here, enter. Okay, let's take a. Okay, now after that we can do blind SQLI authentication bypass. Okay, now here we can just wait a minute. Start at first. So speed. It's not opening, guys. Okay, that's why we open a new tab. Okay, now before the process, we have blind SQLI. Unlike in blind SQL injection, where we can see the result and of our attack directly on the screen, blind SQLI is when we get little to no feedback to confirm whether our injected queries were in fact successful or not. This is because the error message have been disabled, but the injection still works regardless. It might surprise you that all we need is that little bit of feedback to successfully enumerate a whole database. Now, authentication bypass. What is authentication bypass? One of the most straightforward blind SQL injection techniques is when bypassing authentication methods such as login forms. Then, in this the instance, we are not that interested in retrieving data from the database. Just we just want to get the pass at the login. Login forms that we are connected to a database of user often developed such a way that the web application is not interested in the content of the username and the password, but more whether to make a matching a pair in the user table. In basic term, web applications ask database, do you have a user with the username Bob and the password Bob123? The database replies with either yes or no, true or false, like Boolean based. And depending on that answer, dictates whether the web applications let you proceed or not. Taking the above information into account, it's necessary to enumerate a valid username password pair. We just need to create a database query that replies yes or true. Means in our web application, suppose this is web applications, this not matter username is password right or not. Just username input and password, anything. Just go to database. Then if you have or not, just true or false. Otherwise, it can't matter any others. So here now practical level 2 of the SQL injection example shows the extract. We can see the box labeled SQL query like this. Now that the query from the database is following this one. If we do here, like for example, we can select then start from the users where username percentage then username and the password is password limit one. In username and password values are taken from the login from the list. Initial in SQL query box will blank as the field are currently empty. To make into query that always returns true or false. That we also told you. We can enter the following into the password field. Okay, let's say the password field or anywhere. If I do user field also, you can do also. Let's check. Just put a comma in top side, then capital O or then 1 equals to 1 means true. Then end means semicolon, then hyphen hyphen is true. Which returns SQL into following. Select. Then from users where username this one means this one or the password is same mean this one or this one. Anything. Now because 1 is equal to 1 is true, statement means 1 and equal to 1 is true, we have used or operator, means this. Now, this will always cause the query to return true, which specifies the web application's logic that the database found a valid username password combination. Okay, combination, and that access should be allowed. Let's check this result. Login. Now, check login from. You bypass the login and can now move the next level. Level 2 was also completed, guys. Now go to level 3 and we can got the flag. Now just paste it. Now we have a blind SQLI Boolean based, means this one. Boolean based. Boolean based SQL injection refers to the response we received from our injection attempts, which could be a true or false, yes, no, on off, and one zero, or any response that can only have two outcomes. Two outcomes is those is okay, and like this. That outcome confirms you that SQL injection payload was either successful or not. On the first inspections, you may feel like this limited response can't provide much information still with just these two responses. It's possible to enumerate a whole database structure and context. Now, practical one, the level 3 SQL injection example means you are presented with a mock browser with the following error, like this and this was taken true. Okay. This browser body contains taken true. This API endpoint replicates a common feature found on many sign-up forms, which checks whether a user has been signed registered to prompt the user to choose a different username because the taken value is set to true. Okay. Now, value is set to true. We can assume the username is admin already registered. We can confirm this by changing the username, the mock browser's address bar, and admin equal to admin 123. Okay, 123. Now we can take the false. Now upon the pressing enter, you will see value taken has now changed to false. We can see here this. Now the SQL query link processed looks like following this one. The input that they only are input, select then start then from user where username and limit one. Now control over the username in the querying will have to use this part from our SQL keeping the username admin123. You can start appending to this try the make database confirm true things changing the state and taken field as false or true. Like previous levels, our first task to establish number of columns in the user's level, which we can achieve by using union statement, changing the username to the following, like this. We can use this. So let's try to this one. Okay. Now, if I use comma, then union select. Wait, guys. Union select one semicolon. Type. Okay, we have taken the false. As your application responded with the value taken false, and we can confirm this is incorrect value columns. Keep on adding a columns until we have taken a value of true. Let's try to take when we get taken a value of true. Let's do it. Let's comma then two. Its value not not true, also false. Then we have three. Okay, two. Let's check it. As our application responded. Okay. Now, our number columns has been established. We can work on enumeration of for the database. Our first task to discover the database name we can do by using build in database. Okay, just wait. If we use false, okay, comma two again we false, we're getting now comma three. Let's go. Let's fetch the taken is true. Okay, now the taken is false. If we do here three, now taken is true. Okay. So in database method, we can use it now. Now our next step is this method we can use. So let's go method that is then using like operator to try the find result will find the true status. Try the view username and see what happens. Now we use already admin 123. Then union select 123 also true. Then we can use. Let's remove this. We can use where database that's method like anything. Suppose I'm just you, I don't know. So database, so I'm giving this. Then end. Here end. Then taken false. We can get a true response. Okay, I think I mistake somewhere. Let's check it. Yeah, I mistake somewhere. It's called database. Now check. Is it? Acha, not check. Database. Not true. It's taken is true. Okay. Now we get a true response in the like operator. We just have the value of percent, which will match anything. It's true wildcard value. If we change the wildcard operator to a, like this one, if I change the if a start is a beginning the end of the a, sorry, the beginning of the a, and if I do the end this in, at first percentage, then we can do later as I did the previous lecture. Let's check. No, false. Okay, now like we can cycle through all the letters, then numbers and characters. For example, if I not found, if I do false, we can use b, then false. We can use c, false. We can use 1, false. We can use false. We can use 3, false. If I do also after percentage, if I do e, for example, nothing, nothing can change. If I do double e after percentage, false. Here is you can see true. After percentage means at the end of the letter. This means true. Here, for example, if you saw guys, admin 123, then union select 123 for database. This one like user like is means the now you can move the next step because we find that it's a true response. For same thing we can do in the backward. We can do last letter. We can use. Let's check. We can use last letter. It's a e and it's for like a true. Do you understand, guys? Okay. Let's check screenshot. Now you move to the next. Okay. If I use if they will start on e again, Let's see again. No. So let's say that the first is type is, then percentage. Let's say it's true. Now we can see next move we can do like S A after S A, then false SQ. It's true. Now you can see here all the letters. At the end, we can get these one letters. Okay. Like if I do here at the end for SQ, then is the start with L. For that, we can do. Then I, we can do. After that, we get this one. True. THREE. True. Okay. So this one we got. We have established a database name which can so now which we can now use enumerate tables now names using a similar methods by utilizing the information schema database. Try setting is a name following value. Okay, now we can do after 1 to 3 you can use from information is schema then dot tables because we can fetch the tables where where the table schema equals to means start or add it start like this schema equals to like this which I get SQLI 3 3 then and now we can fetch a table name like a table name then use this one table name like a check it I think I missed it somewhere I think just check it. Not it's false the value is false check the query looks like the result is information schema database in the tables where database matches SQLI and the table name begins the letter A. Okay, letter A. Ah, as the above query result in a false response, we can confirm that there are no tables in SQL Engine 3 database to begin which letter A. Like previously, we'll need to cycle through the letters numbers until you find positive match. You will finally discovering a table SQLite 3 databases name which we confirm running username payload. So we can show the username also. If I use here, is the table name start with U? Check. Here is true response. Means humans user. Yeah. So we can use the users. Now here just type here users and the table name like not like because the users is confirmed also. Now it's taken true because it's successful. The table name is true. Now, lastly, we now need to enumerate column in the users. We can properly search it for login credential again. We can use information schema database and the information we have already gained to query if it for column names using the payload below. We search the column table where the database equal is SQLite 3 and the table name is users is confirmed and the column name begins with letter A. So we already discovered the table name that is SQLite 3 then that sorry table schema Like information schema tables name, that is SQLI 3. The under table schema we can also table name, that users name the users. Now we can find the users have any letter A or B something. So we can use and. In column name we can use now column name like this is true, false. Okay, just wait. Remove this one. Okay, wait. Under is union select then 1 to 3 from information schema dot columns, not tables. We fetch tables. It will not fetch columns. Okay, so we need to columns where table schema is equal to 3 and blah blah blah. Then this also false. Hmm. Let's check again from union select 1 to 3 from information schema dot columns where table schema, right, CHE schema, let's say table, then table name also, because we also find this one but not find, like let us say so table name. Now we find the table name SQLI 3, then table name users and column name like select. Okay, now you can again you will need to cycle through letters numbers until you find a match. You are looking at multiple results you will have at this the payload. Each time find a new column name, avoid discovering same one. For example, once you have find column name ID, you will append to your original payload. Okay. Then after that, admin union select information schema where table name this one and column name like this A and column name ID not equals to ID. Okay, let's say that. Let's do that. Okay, and column name not equals to ID. Then false. Repeating the process will be enabled. You discover the column ID, user's name and password, which now you can use users table login credential. You will need to discover a valid username, which can use the payload. Okay, just wait a moment. It's not start. Okay, you can find that is that B, is that J, is that M, is that S. Okay, is it I? Yeah, it's ID. This is the become true. Okay, now column name ID we can get. Now we will append to their repeating process. Okay, repeating process at time, column name ID, username and password, which now you can use the query users login it discover the valid username, which can use payload below. Okay, so after that let's use this one saying false. Okay, now we can use this uh, admin 1 2 3, then format it. You only want to select 1 2 3 because you also phrase the 1 2 3. That's why for user where username admin. Let's it's true now. Okay. Once you have cycled that all the characters will confirm the username is admin. Is that admin? True. Am I in? True. It's admin. Username have. Then password like A. Then this one. You can face after repeating below the password. Wait, the username, let's say admin. Admin. Okay. Admin, you can face the password. Like username. Now we will find the admin. Now we want to find to the password and password like then we can match. If is it start with A? It's false. No. Is that is it start with I? No. Start with P? No. Is that start with capital P? No. Is it start with Y? No. One. No. Two. No. Three. True. Even it's three two. Now we can find it's a number variable. That's one false, two false, three false, four false, five false, six false, seven false, eight true. Now it's true. Then one false, two false, three false, four false, eight four true, four true. Okay. One false, two false, one false, two false, three false, four false, five true. Okay. One false, two false, three false, four false, five false, six false, seven false, eight false. Nine. Okay. All number check. After that we found the password is this. So we can use this password. That is okay. Here is showing 3 4 3 4 5. Here is showing guys. I can't. I ignored it. I cycling through all the characters. You discover password is this one. Okay, sorry. Okay. Now this password 3845. Wait. First. 3 4 5. Okay. Now just log out. Now we're gonna use level 4. Here we must to type sleep. Just paste it. Okay. Now go to the blind SQLI. Time based. Now time based. A time based SQLI injection is a very similar to the above boolean based one at the same request at the send, but there is no visual indicator of your queries being wrong and right the first time. Instead, your indicator of correct query and is the based on on the time the query takes the complete this time is delay introduced using built-in methods such as a sleep aids alongside union statements. The sleep method will only ever get executed upon execute successful union sleep. Here, we can't show any request. Just uh, eye catch up your you need your eye catch up eyes on web page because it's a time based sleep mode. For example, where we trying to this number column a table where you need we would to see following query. Suppose for take example here you can see admin 1 2 3 comma then union select sleep. It's sleep for 5 seconds. Let's take check. It's sleep for 2 seconds. Okay. So in we fix the two. Let's do the this two now. Now okay. Wait. Let's one two one two one two one two. When we can get here 2, press 2. After 2 seconds, it rewrite. Check. It's okay. After 5 seconds, it's redirected. Okay. If there was no pause in the response time, we know the query was unsuccessful. So like the previous task, we had another column, like this one. We have two columns in there. If we do one column, not request. If we do something, these columns, okay, not request. If I do three columns, okay, three columns have. If I do two columns also have. Okay. This payload should process 5-second delay because we use this one 5 second. That's why 5-second delay. Confirming this unsuccessful and of the union statement 3 or 2 are two columns. You can repeat the enumerations process for the boolean based SQL injection, adding the sleep. If you are struggling, find table name on your way, like this one. You can use. Okay, we can use this one. So let's find the same username. So same username we can found where it's a just time passed. So you can see now you can fetch it. Just wait a minute. How much second we have? Let's check it. 13 minutes. Okay. Now if I ask sleep, I says 5 second also done. Okay. Two columns. Here is if I use from, then information schema, because we say I already saw this, the information schema have this everyone databases, so we can use information schema. Okay. Schema tables, then where where table schema, like this one. Just wait. Here I have see this one. Yeah, where table schema. We can use a blind SQL paste. That's upper one. Blind SQL boolean based. Sorry, boolean based. We can use that one. So where table schema. Okay. Where table schema. SQLI 3. That's also fetch. SQLI 4. Sorry. Let's check where table schema equals to SQLI 4 and table name. Table name like a thing. Okay. Is equals time done. Not done. If you okay. Now remove this one. So from users you can try where username, because we already fetch username tables like a yes a done admin Okay, now admin is also done. Now we can get to fetch the password. So how to get fetch password? So for fetching password, that and password like mm, suppose it's also a number based, guys. Let's see. You know, no, four, four correct password. Yeah, four correct password. This was one. Okay, no, two, no, three, no, four, no, five, no, six, no, seven, no, eight, no, nine. Okay, nine is the correct password. Now, one, no, two, no, three, no, four, no, five, no, six. Okay, six also. 496. You got one, one. You got 4961. Before that, we also have a four-digit number, na? Four-digit number. Let's see this one. Like admin, also here 4961. 496 4961. Let's login. Yeah, done. Successfully done, completed. Training complete. Okay, we found. Now at the end, out of the band SQL injection is not common as it either depends on the specific features being enabled on the database server or web applications business logic, which makes some key kind of external network call based one result from SQL query. An outbound attack is classified by two different communication channels. One of launch the attack and other the gathers the result. For example, the attack channel could be a web request and the data gathering channel could be monitoring HTTP DNS request. HTTP means Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Let's see what is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Is the protocol that specifies how a web server, web browser, and a web server communicate. Your web browser request content from the Tryhackme web server, suppose using the HTTP protocol as you go through this room. And what is DNS? Domain name system. DNS is the protocol responsible for resolving host names such as tryhackme.com to their respective IP address. The request made to service your control. An attacker makes a request to a website vulnerable that is SQL to injection with an injection payload. And number two, that's number one. That's number two is the website makes an SQL query like we have at that makes on the practical now. We already did this. Now SQL query to the database which also passes the hacker's payload. And the payload contains request which forces HTTP for request back and hackers machines containing data from the database. Now, name of the protocol that beginning with D that can be used exfiltrate database. What is exfiltrate? HTTP or DNS? Well, that is here is already displayed name protocol beginning D means DNS domain name system. Okay, step. Now, limitation. As impactful as a SQL injection vulnerabilities are, developers who do have a way to protect their web applications from them. Let's the machine is turned off now. Okay. As impactful communities or developers do have a way to protect their web application from them by following that visibility because these are prevented system. How to prevent SQL injection attacks? Prepare statements with parameterized queries. In a parameter prepare query, the first thing the developer writes is the SQL query, and the any user inputs are added as a parameter. Afterwards, writing prepared statements ensures the SQL code structure does not change, and the database can distinguish between the query and the data. As a benefit, it also makes your code look much cleaner and easier to read. Input validation. So input validation can go a long way protecting away the what gets input into an SQL query. Employing and allow list can restrict input to only certain things. Strings or a strings replacement method in the programming language can filter the characters you wish to allow or disallow. Ex- Escaping users input. Allow users input containing characters such as this one, like dollar symbol, can use SQL queries to break or even ORs. As we have open theme up of injection attacks, escaping users input or method. Prepare depending backslash to these characters, which these cause them to prepare just a regular string and not a special character. Now, Name of the method of protecting yourself from SQL injection to exploit. Okay. Mm, Repair statement. Yeah. Okay. So guys, today I think it's a long video. So okay, no worries. So today I completed this lab as I promised you in the previous lecture. So okay, bye bye guys. Good night.